Hello, and welcome to the Brutal Iron Gym podcast, where our goal is to cut through the BS and deliver the brutal truth about topics related to health and happiness. Today's podcast number 2091. The topic is mindset, and the title is Building Self-Confidence. One of my clients is a business client, and what that means is we have weekly Zoom calls, and they are a personal trainer wanting to grow their business, but currently they are struggling with confidence. So in a recent Zoom call, we actually talked about some advice on how to increase self-confidence. I wanted to share the tips that we discussed in the call and then just expand on a little bit and hopefully give some kind of insight, something you can use if you're struggling with confidence to help you build your confidence back up. So the 5 tips that we discussed in the recent call. Number 1 is invest into education. Number 2, make progress towards something. Number 3, set up small wins. Number 4, diversify within relevancy. That's a weird one, but I'll explain it. Number 5 is remember the past. So number 1, invest into education. If you're improving your knowledge base, you will increase your confidence, because the more you become aware of, the more all of a sudden options there are on how you can make progress or get somewhere new from where you are. So part of our lack of confidence can come from things aren't progressing, we're not moving forward, we're not achieving what we thought we would or what we thought we could, or there just doesn't seem to be any movement. When you invest into education, that helps so much because it can increase your awareness of what options are available to you to help create that movement. Now, invest in education. Invest typically sounds like financial, and yes, it can be that. You can, put finance, put money basically towards certification seminars and other things, but it can also just be setting aside a time to watch YouTube videos, to read books, listen to podcasts, hint, hint, which you're doing now, which is great, and thank you. But it doesn't have to be money. It can be those things. You can also connect with others. Over the years of developing business and trying to learn how to run a business, I got to talk to other business owners, and that was always very helpful. Sometimes it was helpful just to hear that somebody else had similar struggles. Sometimes it was helpful to hear how they managed similar struggles, and then what could I take from that? Could I use exactly that example, or would I learn from that and make my own way of doing it? So exposure to information is what you're looking for. The more information you can be aware of, the more options you have to make a change, to make a difference, to feel more confident in what you're able to do. So investing into education is huge. The big things that I kind of invest into right now, I've done a lot of certifications over the years. The first certification I got was the ACSM personal training certification. I then graduated for my undergrad in health and phys ed. I have a master's in human nutrition. I also have a corrective exercise specialist degree. I have a certification. I have a tactical fitness and a running certification. Those are 2 separate certifications, but they're from the same organization. So I got a lot of certifications. I went to an enormous amount of seminars. I mean, my gosh, that's an endless list. So I've done all of that. But right now, my main investments are discussions with other personal trainers, and that helps a lot. It sometimes helps me solidify and better organize what I already know. Reminds me of things I've already learned and went, oh crap, I'm not even using that. I need to do that. And then I do listen to audiobooks. I listen to podcasts, whether they're on YouTube or podcast platforms. But that's kind of my biggest thing right now for me is books. I like books. I do better through Audible, like audiobooks, than I do physically reading. I'm not great at taking the time to physically read, and I don't comprehend things as well physically reading as I do when I'm listening. My retention when I listen is actually very high, so I'm very lucky and blessed for that. So I'll listen to audiobooks or podcasts while I work out. I'll listen to them sometimes while I'm doing like meaningless daily tasks like cooking, laundry, dishes, things like that. So I consume an enormous amount of information, usually a couple hours a day. And I've really enjoyed that. It fires me up, gets me excited. And then with my wife, Meredith, we walk the dog in the morning and in the evening. So part of the walk, I'll hear and listen to her day and her thoughts. And then part of the walk, she hears mine. And I'll share things I learned in podcasts and books. And we talk about ideas. And that is very fun to get to process that. So I enjoy that a lot, and that helps me feel excited about what I do and excited about possibilities and newness in the future. And that can bring confidence because I know I'm always learning something new. I'm always exposed to new information. If there's something I don't know right now or I can't figure out right now, the more information I soak in, the better chance I have of figuring that out. Tip number 2 was make progress towards something. It's hard to have confidence when everything feels stagnant, when nothing is moving, when nothing feels new, when you're just stuck. Whether that's actually stuck in progress or stuck emotionally, mentally, and you're just kind of depressed and in a funk. You're not going to basically generate confidence out of nothing. If nothing is happening, if nothing is moving, if nothing is progressing, you can't just create something out of nothing. So I would encourage people when they're feeling a lack of confidence to pick something to do. Now that can sound crazy because if you doubt yourself, and here I am saying, go try to accomplish something, and you're like, well, I doubt myself. Why would I? Okay, I doubt myself. I'm going to automatically now let me compete in powerlifting, or now let me do a bodybuilding show. Why in the world would I think I could do something if I'm doubting my ability to do things? Well, the point is you get to prove it. You fear that you're going to prove that you don't know. But every single time when you start to work towards something, you're going to invest effort, you're going to invest knowledge, you're going to invest experiences, and through those experiences, you feel more educated, feel more prepared, feel more aware, and that starts to build that confidence. So movement in any direction starts to generate confidence. So that client, I suggested that they actually pick something to do. They decided they wanted to work towards a powerlifting competition, but specifically they wanted to go down in the weight class that they would be right now. So they're like, why don't I work on getting a little bit leaner and do powerlifting? And the reason why we chose powerlifting was it has a lower kind of barrier to entry than a physique competition. They would eventually love to do a physique competition, but where they're at right now with their physique, it would take them longer to get ripped and lean and have the muscle they want compared to a powerlifting competition, which can be a great shorter term goal towards the long-term goal of an aesthetic competition. But this spark of something new is going to help them generate confidence. Tip number 3 is to set up small wins, and the smaller the better. That can seem contradictory because if something is so small, okay, I want you to eat one meal today. You're like, well, that's so duh. I'm going to eat one meal every day anyhow. Okay, well, we'll do that. And if you do that for a week, let's aim for 2 meals. If you do that for a week, let's aim for 3 meals. If you do that for a week, how about in our 3 meals, we try to have the calories of the meals be close to equal. So if you have 1,000 calories in one meal, 500 calories in another meal, and 200 calories in another meal, let's try to normalize that to say 600-ish calories per meal. So that starts to get something to work on. And the goal of starting with small wins, the smaller the better, is you build momentum. You wouldn't think that it was true that you can build momentum out of something so small that it kind of feels like meaningless, but it does. If you ever test it, if you want to test, what I'd like you to do is to do 5 bodyweight squats per day. It's dumb. I know it's dumb because you're going to say, what does that matter, right? Who cares? But just do it. If it's so stupid, if it's so easy, just do it. Do 5 bodyweight squats for the next 7 days. 5 bodyweight squats for the next 7 days. If you do that, when you do 7 days in a row of 5 bodyweight squats, I want you to try 10 bodyweight squats. Then you would try 15, then you try 20, then you try 25. If you got to say 50 bodyweight squats a day, that's actually still not a lot. That's doable. but you're going to feel very accomplished. But the only way you get to 50 a day is by starting at 5. If you start at 50 a day, you're going to get it for the first day, maybe the second day, maybe the third day you get busy, something happens, there's some kind of emergency in the day kind of shits the bed, and you don't do it. You're going to go to bed and be like, or you'd be very near bed, you're going to be the end of the day, and you're like, oh my gosh, I didn't do any of my squats, I have to do all 50, I'm just going to miss today, right? But if you did 5, if the goal was only 5, you'd be like, well, I got to the end of the day, I'm about to go to bed, but I can do 5 squats before I get into bed, right? So you can do that. Then all of a sudden when you do 10, you find ways to do the 10 rather than to excuse away the fact that you can't. So at 50, you would start to say, the day was horrible, I'm just not going to do them today. But at 5, you'll still do it. If you get used to doing 5, you get used to doing 10, you get used to doing 15, you get used to doing 20. By the time you get to 50, you've built the mental discipline to do them. Now, I promise you that this works because I've done it. When I first ever wanted to get into physical fitness and kind of improve the way I looked and the way I felt about myself, I hated my body. I was 15 years old, 15th birthday. I hated my body, and I hated myself for allowing myself to look like that. So I decided to do 250 push-ups and 250 sit-ups every single day. I actually did it. I did it for 355 days out of 365. I missed 10 days. They were all related to going on a Boy Scout trip where I was on a hiking trip and I was too embarrassed to do them in front of my friends. So all other 355 days, I did them. This was a kid who couldn't do 20 push-ups in a row at the time. So it took me more than 12, 13 sets of push-ups. It probably took me around 20 or so sets of push-ups to get to 250 because I was so weak. 250 sit-ups was horrible. I was a fat, weak kid. I don't remember how many I could do at a time, maybe 20 or so. So again, that was 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 sets of sit-ups. So I'd have to do 10 to 15 sets of sit-ups, 10 to 15 sets of push-ups every single day. Horrible, but I did it. So just because I can do it doesn't mean everybody can do it, but I've seen it with clients. Clients feel, at first they can't do stuff. I can't track my calories every day, or, I can't get within this certain number of protein every day. I can't train 4 days a week. My schedule's too crazy. There's all these can'ts. Then we start with small wins. They build it up, and then all of a sudden later on, they're like, holy freaking crap, look at what I'm doing. This is amazing. And it's happened hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of times. So I'm not telling you this because I read it in a book. I'm telling you this because I have read it in a book, but I've also seen it play out hundreds of times with real people. So set up small wins. One of the best ways to set up small wins is to set up levels per day of standards. So for nutrition, you would have a great, good, and a something day. Now, sometimes people name these differently. I'll name them differently for clients. So sometimes I'll be like, you want to have like your best day, a good day, and then kind of like a shitty day. So it depends on the client, depends on our interactions and playfulness. Sometimes I'll name them different. But a great day for nutrition might be you get your calories within a range, your protein within a range, and you pay attention to your distribution. You have your meals relatively pretty equaled out throughout the day. A good day, not a great day, but a good day, could be that you get your calories and your protein. So maybe you have a goal of between 2,000 to 2,400 calories, and you hit that goal. You're somewhere in there. For protein, maybe you want 150 to 180 grams a day, and you actually got somewhere within that range. Pretty good day, right? A something day, where you at least got something, could be as, hey, I just tracked my calories. I know I'm around 2,000. Good. That's it. So you have a great day, a good day, and a something day. You still got something in. Training, a great day could be a full gym session. A good day could be maybe I got a partial workout. I only had 20, 30 minutes, but I got something in, whether it's at the gym or at home. A something day is I set a 5-minute timer. I did 5 minutes of something, bodyweight squats, push-ups, sit-ups. Who cares? I just moved for 5 minutes. Counts as something. Counts as a win for the day. Education. A great day could be a full video or a full podcast, maybe an hour-long program or a 20-minute program, and you got all of it in that day. A good day could be I did 5 or 10 minutes of education. I read a book, read an article, listened to a video, whatever it could be, listened to a podcast, watched something on YouTube. That's good, 5 to 10 minutes. A something day is I spent 2 minutes, I scrolled on Instagram, I saw somebody do an exercise, I saved it so that way I could try it another day, boom, done. You just did something that day that was at least something education-wise. So that's the idea, is you're setting up small wins and levels of the wins. So at the end of every single day, you did something at least something. Some days are great, some days are good, some days are just, shit day, but I got something in at least. Fourth tip is to diversify within relevancy. What that means is don't focus on a singular aspect as defining your confidence. You want to diversify what you define yourself by, define progress, define confidence, define success by, so that way you can increase your chances of feeling as though you're making progress. But you still want it to be relevant to the overall goal. So for a trainer, they might track their client count. How many clients do you have? You might track your income. One of those two is often kind of the big thing for the person. If it's their sole source of income, then it's probably going to be income that they're tracking and saying how much money they're making per year or per month or per week. Then if you're maybe doing other things, so maybe you're a personal training director and you have some clients on the side, or maybe you have a full-time job in something unrelated. Maybe you're a financial accountant and you just happen to train a couple people who are friends. That could be good. So maybe you're going to track client count. So maybe at first you're like, I got 3 clients. That's not bad, but I would feel more confident if I had, say, 5 or 6 clients or 10 clients. So that might be the way in which you define confidence. But if you only pick income, if you only pick client count, your confidence is going to wane quite a bit. So clients can sometimes, come and go for 1,000,001 reasons that are completely unrelated to you as a trainer. That's just the way it goes. That's life. So you might have, say, 2 clients leave you this month, but it doesn't mean you're a shit trainer. It doesn't mean you're doing anything wrong. Maybe one ran into a rough season, and they're just like, dude, I can't commit to this right now. I got so much going on. I'm overwhelmed. I got to quit. Or somebody's like, holy crap, our AC unit just died. We had to take out a small loan. I got to save some money and kind of like pay off that loan real fast. So I got to skip out on the service for the next month or 2 or 3, or whatever it is. So there could be reasons why clients leave that are unrelated to you. But if that's the only marker you're using for confidence, that'll crush you. Same thing with income. Income comes and goes as a personal trainer. There are ways in which you want to normalize that, and I hope you do all those ways. Because I can tell you that it helps a lot. But when I was in my younger years, my income just came and went when clients came and went. So that was much harder. But that can be challenging if you don't have any other marker of progress, marker of confidence. So some of the ways I look at is I'll measure my income because I'm a business. I'll measure client count because I care about people and I want to know. I get myself overextended often, and I've had to teach myself multiple times not to do that. So I do watch my client count to make sure I don't become too extended. And then I'll do social media reach. How many people did I reach today through a podcast, through YouTube, through Instagram? Just kind of track those measurements. And, if they dip or they go down a little bit, that might be a bummer, but maybe I got an extra client that week, or that month. And that could be fun, So maybe social media went down in Instagram, but it went up in YouTube. So that can be something you can lean into for confidence. I also look at just my own progress towards my own goals. Did I get a great workout in today? So maybe social media numbers were crap, maybe a client left, but I crushed my workout today. I got a good workout, and I know that that's going to help me look better. And as I look better, I'll be able to attract myself to new clients. So the more you diversify what you're tracking and defining your confidence by, the better chance you have of maintaining higher confidence. Tip number 5, the last thing we want to look at is to remember the past. What past experiences are related to your current struggles? You may have something where, like say you're struggling to get clients and you're like, man, I'm posting stuff on social media all the time. I've been training my butt off. I'm making progress, but I just can't seem to get clients. Well, think through like when you got a new job. Maybe you got a new job and at first it was hard because you didn't know your coworkers. Maybe it was hard because you didn't quite understand the job. You didn't feel confident at the job. But what helped? What helped was time. You kept showing up. You got a couple experiences and all of a sudden you started seeing things for a second, a third, a fourth time in work. So now you knew more what to do. Maybe you meet a coworker and you're like, hey, I see this person the same time every day. Let me say hello. And it builds into a little bit of a friendship. So you've learned in the past with that job, if I stick it out, if I keep showing up every day, something will improve. And that can then give you confidence to keep showing up every day and still putting in effort, and eventually something will improve. You can also look at, I've had clients who they've struggled to be consistent with nutrition. They're like, man, I just can't get this food down. This is ridiculous. I feel like I can't do this. But I've had a client where maybe they gave up smoking. And I'm like, you have tons of discipline. You gave up smoking. And you're worried if you have the discipline enough to be consistent with food? Hell yeah, you can. We just got to figure out what the challenges are for you right now, and then what we can do to address each of those challenges. I've had clients who've, just crushed life in so many ways. Like they've done a great job being consistent and showing up for family. They've been consistent and showing up for work. Maybe they grew, through their jobs. Maybe at one point in time they were making $20,000. Now they're making $200,000. They grinded for 10, 15 years and kept moving up in different jobs and different careers. But yet they worry and wonder if they can even make progress towards their fitness. I'm never going to get in shape. I just can't be consistent. I'm like, you're disciplined as hell. Like you just grinded your way for 10 years, like 10x your income, and you're worried that you can't grind your way into nutrition or training. You can't figure this out. Hell yeah, you can. Like, don't forget who you are. Don't forget what you've done. I guarantee there's something in your past that you can look at and be like, hell yeah, I was a badass. I did that, and that was freaking awesome. I probably never thought I could do that. I doubted myself, but I did it. Remember those moments. Remember times you've doubted yourself in the past, but things still worked out. Things were still better at the end. Don't forget those. Remember those because they can help motivate you in current times when you're struggling with doubt. So those are the 5 tips I gave to that client, and we enjoyed having like a good phone call, good conversation about that. And I thought it would be helpful and fun to share for today's podcast. So the 5 tips were: invest into education, make progress towards something, set up small wins, diversify within relevancy, and remember the past. Awesome. If you have any questions, if you need anything, you can go to our website. We have a contact us page on the website, www.brutalirongym.com. You can also just check out the free information we have on all the different services we have as well. And we have a podcast player on our homepage that goes back 300 episodes. So if you're on a podcast player that only goes back 100, but you're looking for some older episodes to dive into, you can use the website. We also have instructions under that podcast player on how to find older podcasts. So you can actually listen to all of our 2091 podcasts if you'd like. But all of that is available, and you can message us on the website, www.brutalirongym.com. If you like the podcast, please share the podcast. The more people we share it with, the more people can help. Sharing it on social media does reach the most amount of people, but even just share it in a conversation. If somebody ever asks you training nutrition questions, steer them our way, let them know about the podcast, and hopefully they can find an answer and find support for their goals and journey through the podcast. If you like the podcast, please consider donating to support the podcast, which you can do on our website. And also, if you like the information we share in the podcast, you can find more from us on our social media channels. You can find us and follow us on Instagram and YouTube under the name Brutal Iron Gym. As always, I hope this was helpful, and thank you for listening.